So the last class we discussed about random access file operations we discussed. So we discussed some set of methods, and in that method mainly we focused on seek method. And then what we discussed about read and write, and two programs are there, and the two programs we'll discuss first, and then we'll enter into the remaining theory topics. And today I'm going to pose this unit 2. Okay, so let's see the programs, those programs, series based streams, and then series based what is that? Random array. Series based files and series based array. Okay, now let's go with the demo.txt file. Actually, what we have in demo.txt is that this was the content that we have in demo.txt. Now let's go with one function, notepad, random 3.java. So in this we are taking scanner class, and we are taking data input stream, and then random access. Two things we are attaching to the keyboard. Scanner we are attaching, as well as random data input stream, both we are attaching, and we are opening this random access file in RW, that means read write mode. System.out.println, enter how many positions you want to move in a file. Enter how many positions you want to move in a file. Okay, now I'm going to accept the long value. I'm sending that long value to this thing. And after that, we ask the user to enter text, to enter what? Text, and to terminate @ symbol, and we are accepting that character. We are sending that character to the file. And after that, we are sending that character. After that, again, we are reading the next character, and we are sending that to the file. Like that, we are sending it to the file. And again, we are reading the content of the file. This is how we are going to read the content of the file. So let's see Java C space random 3.java, random 3.java. Java C space random3.java, and then Java space -cp random 3 random 3 dot random 3. Okay, enter long. Cannot save. So now enter how many positions you want to move. Suppose I would like to move 4 positions. Now after moving these 4 positions, I'm going to enter something like this. Vinyan Institute of Technology and Science. Okay. And then I click. Now we are reading the file content here. You can see Vinyan Institute of Technology and Science followed by what the content that we got over. And you can see here the content has been overridden over there. The content was not shipped. The content was existing content, overridden was happened over there. You can see if you are going to that particular folder, if you are going to that particular folder, the content was overridden. It was not shifted. We are not inserted the content over there. The content was overridden over there. Okay. You need to demo.txt. Right, content was overridden over there. Now again, what happens? Again, I'm executing this program. So again, I'm giving 4 here. Now this time I'm giving some name here is some name I'm giving after that update. So you can see here after this, what my name was inserted, or my name was inserted. After this, we got E. E means from here, Institute of Technology and Science, followed by what remaining. Why it was entered into the new line? Here I pressed enter button. Enter button means this is also considered as ready, followed by next time is going to be inserted after this 4. That means after this ADD F, after this ADD F, my name was inserted and then new line, and then new line. Up to this, the name was inserted and then new line. Like that, the content was overridden over here. Now let's go with one more program. Let's go with one more program, random 4.java. Okay. So here also we are taking scanner class, data input string, random access file. After that, we are asking the user how many what positions you want to shift. Here we are going in somewhat different way. Enter how many positions you want to. Okay. Now we are printing this message. After that, we are accepting long value. We are setting the file pointer to an appropriate position, and then system.out.println enter string to send what data to file, and then what ds.readline. ds. What readline. We are reading one complete line and we are storing that in yes. After that, we are going to print this. We are going to send this data to the what file s.getBytes. That means this is a textual data. This is a textual data that is string. And this string we will be converting in the form of getBytes. S.getBytes means we are converting the string in the form of what bytes. GetBytes is the method which is from string class, and it is going to convert in the form of what bytes. So that data was printed over there. Again, we are making fseek to point to the first position, and then we are printing the file content over here. We are printing file content over here. Let's save this program. Java C space random 4. Java space -cp random. So enter how many positions you want to move. Same thing, 4 positions. Now I would like to insert a string over here. That is CSCA is what? Is extraordinary section. Respond.
Yes, sir.
Huh?
Obviously, sir.
Extraordinary section.
Easy section.
Easy section. So here also what happened is CSCA is extraordinary section. Earlier the content contains what my name. Now after this what data was inserted section and complete data was overridden over there. We are not able to insert. We are going to overwrite the data which was there in the what thing, but we are not in a position to shift that, and we are not in a position to do that, right? So this is how we are accessing the data. This is how we are going to insert the data into the thing. And I said most of the students have not at all responded regarding the merging of two files into one single file, and try to look into this aspect also, how to shift the data in the file and how to insert the data into the file. Is possible or not? I searched it. I came to know that it's not possible, and try to look into that if there is any possibility to shift the data in the file and to insert a new data into the file. Okay. So this is what the random access file. Everywhere only two things are there. What's the figure that I shown in the last class? Like in order to send the data from keyboard to Java program, we have data input stream data, buffer data, console, and then scanner. In order to send the data from file to what data, we have file output stream and file writer. And along with that, if you want to access the data from the file, then we have what file input stream and file reader. And if you want to access randomly the content of the file, then we have what random access file. Under the random access file, we are not used much here. We are used only three functions in random access file: seek function, read function, write function. These functions we are used, and with the help of those functions, randomly we are taking data from the file, and then we place the data into the file. When we are placing the data into the file randomly, the existing content was overridden with this file. Okay. Now, what I would like to do is, there is no file called demo1.txt. Now, in this random4.txt, what I'm going to do is, I'm going to take some new file called demo3.txt. Demo3.txt. Now I'm going to compile it Java C space random4.java. So it doesn't generate any error, but at the time of runtime, it's generating any error. Means it is also not generating any error. Let's see here, we don't have demo4.txt, demo3.txt, but if you are opening in R plus RW mode, means then the file was created. Then the file was created. Okay. Now, if already file exists, means then sorry. So second position, enter the string that you want to send. The string I would like to send. So we got the space over there because from 0, 1, they lived, and then from this position, the data was inserted into the particular file. If you go to this particular demo3.txt, then the content will be there. That means if file is opened with respect to this random access file, if file was opened, if existing file was opened, means demo3.txt file already ఉన్న file open చేస్తాం అనుకోండి, demo.txt అనే file open చేస్తే it opens that file, cursor will be placed at first position if you are opening with the help of random access file. If file is not there, means this random access file is going to create a file. See, for example, if I'm going to take demo4.txt and I'm going to compile it Java C random4.java. After that, again I'm going to execute it random4. Then how many positions? 4 positions. Now I'm going to enter something like here CSCA. CSCA, I'm going to enter the content I got as CSCA. Now let us enter into this here random demo4.txt file was created, right? So suppose if you are going to take this file in R mode, let us assume that you are taking this file in R mode and you are going with this demo5.txt. Let's save this. Let's go here. Let's compile it Java C space random4.java, and let's run this program. We got an error, file not found exception, because if it is open in read mode, means file must exist. If file does not exist, it generates what? Exception. Okay. So this programs was not there in the notes which was shared by me. And again, I will be sharing one more PDF document to you. In the blog, I will be updating it. And that blog contains the complete programs of your random access files. Okay. Clear? Clear with this? I know that most of the students are facing difficulty in files. The reason is that a little bit slow I went in files. I do agree that, but you need to focus it, because if you go very slow, means it's not possible for us to complete all 5 units in the time. So that's the reason made went some a little bit fast here. You can see, you can openly say to me right now itself, any doubts you have in this, or if you are having any confusion among this second unit, let me know clearly. You can speak, students, no problem. I'm not going to say anything to you, because I'm here what to explain you the things. That's it. Just I'm taking the feedback from you from second unit. What are all topics revision is required for you? You can say openly because nothing I will do. You already seen in data structures. That's it. Any things are there to discuss in this? Let me know up to random access file. Fast students, I don't have time. Respond.
Sir, writing console outputs అవి కావాలి సార్. Console input and console.
Writing console input output. Okay, that I will revise after your examinations. Next. If you are not going to respond, I will call the roll numbers and I will ask you to respond. Right, Amita?
Yes, sir.
Right, tell me. Everything is clear?
Yes, sir. Some confusion in programs.
Where?
Random access file operation.
Okay, fine. Next, Maniteja, you are going to say something. What is that?
Interface, sir.
Okay, Chaptan, no problem. Next, Ranjit.
సార్ ర్యాండమ్ యాక్సెస్ ఫైల్స్ నుంచి నేను కొంచెం
వినలేదా లేదంటే కన్ఫ్యూజన్ ఉందా?
అంటే కొంచెం కన్ఫ్యూజన్గా ఉంది.
Okay, fine. I will no problem. Next, 48. 48
Yes,
is
sir.
Amma, any
Yes,
doubt?
sir. I'm here, sir.
Hmm.
In programs only, sir. I'm unable to do those programs
Where?
around
Which
like
programs?
random access file operations.
Only
And
random access.
there's a lot of confusion in that topic, sir.
Which topic? Mana random access or files?
Random access, sir.
Okay, fine, no problem. Next, any other in second unit? 48.
Nothing, sir.
Okay. 520.
Yes, sir. Random access, yes, sir.
Vinnava? Random access.
అంటే కన్ఫ్యూజన్ ఉంది సార్.
Okay, fine. Any other?
నో సార్, అంతే.
Badri? Bharat? Badri leda? ఉన్నాడు. Bharat?
సార్ ఫైల్స్
Very good, Sahel. Random access file. You listened about files, Sahel? Bharat chepnana?
ఫైల్స్ ర్యాండమ్ యాక్సెస్ సార్.
Okay, fine. Okay, files random access. ఇది ప్రతి స్టూడెంట్ కి ఉండే డౌటే, బట్ దిస్ ఆర్ వెరీ సింపుల్. Don't worry, I will take a session on this once again. But meanwhile, what you need to do is a small help or the thing that is required from your end. At the diagram that I shared in the group, you are aware of that, right? In Java group, I shared one diagram related to files.
Yes, sir.
Try to remember that diagram, and I clearly given the functions also over there. And this is not only for you students, not only for you. And meekane kaadu, every student will face a problem with respect to files. What's the reason means up to packages or up to what inheritance polymorphism, we are going in some direction students. But files ko వచ్చేసరికి ఏదో అంటాడు వాడు ఇన్పుట్ స్ట్రీమ్ అంటాడు, అవుట్పుట్ స్ట్రీమ్ అంటున్నాడు, ఏదో డేటా తెస్తున్నాడా పంపిస్తున్నాడా ఏం చేస్తున్నాడు, లాట్ ఆఫ్ కన్ఫ్యూజన్స్ విల్ బి దేర్ ఇన్ దట్. But what I will clear all your confusions after your things. I will clear it. Okay, don't worry. Don't get discouraged about these topics. I will be there with you till the end of Java, till the end of this course. Okay, don't worry, students. And apart from this, what unit 1 to any problems you have? మీరు absent అయిన సెషన్స్ కాకుండా present అయిన సెషన్స్ గురించి చెప్పండి. యూనిట్ 1 లో కానీ యూనిట్ 2 లో కానీ రెస్పాండ్ అవ్వండి రా.
Clear, sir.
మళ్ళీ
Clear.
క్లియర్. ఓకే, వెరీ గుడ్.
Clear, sir.
అండ్ నా కోసం చెప్పకండి మీరు క్లియర్ అని. ఒకరు ఇప్పుడు ర్యాండమ్ యాక్సెస్ అని చెప్పి వీళ్ళు చెప్పారు, రంజిత్, ప్రశాంత్, పవన్, ఇంకొకరు అక్షిత, వీళ్ళందరూ నేను నా నంబర్స్ పిలిచిన వాళ్ళందరూ చెప్పారు. సో వీళ్ళ వల్ల వీళ్ళకి డౌట్ క్లియర్ అవుతుంది. ప్లస్ మళ్ళీ ఒకసారి చెప్పడం వల్ల ఎవరైతే వినలేదో వాళ్ళు మళ్ళీ వినొచ్చు, ఎవరికైతే అర్థం కాలేదు మళ్ళీ వాళ్ళు అడగొచ్చు. అట్లా స్టూడెంట్ ఎలా ఉండాలంటే మాక్సిమం ఫ్యాకల్టీ నుంచి ఎక్స్ట్రాక్ట్ చేసేటట్టుగానే ఉండాలి. సో దట్ faculty will become perfect and student will become perfect. As for me, teaching is not from one end. Teaching is going to be a learning process where the student can raise something so that faculty can learn something and he can share something with all the students. That's the main thing. It's a learning process. It's not going to be a one-way thing that that kind of thing is not there with me. Okay, because of some other constraint, last 5 hours, 6 hours are complete last week. In what way I'm teaching, I know that. I know that, but this was I thought of taking the feedback at last. So I know most of the students feeling somewhat difficult in fights. I will be clearing all your doubts, students. Don't worry, and try to remember that diagram so that you'll be knowing many things. Okay, and I'm there with you. Don't worry, will be conducting one more session on this. Okay, clear?
Yes, sir.
Fine. Don't lose your confidence in Java, students. Try to practice PowerCut. I will come with mobile data. PowerCut problem because of that. I left the meeting. Okay, fine. So let's discuss. Okay, don't worry, students, about this files and all. I will be taking care of those things. Don't worry. And I think most of you are cleared with up to interfaces. Files anyhow, you'll be having some doubt over that. Right now, what we'll be doing here is we'll be discussing about the serialization concept now, followed by autoboxing and unboxing concept we'll be discussing. Autoboxing and auto unboxing will be discussing, or autoboxing and unboxing both are there, and those things we'll be discussing now. And tomorrow's class will be going with enumeration topic, and this serialization autoboxing theory I am going to discuss. The serialization programs still there, and the programs I will discuss later because it takes again 1 hour time to discuss all those serialization programs. But I will discuss clearly about the serialization concept and try to remember this serialization. Are you able to hear me properly? Any what problem? Respond.
No, sir, clear.
No, sir.
Okay, fine. Now, what do you mean by serialization over here? So serialization is nothing but it is a process of storing the object content into a file. Storing the object content into a file. So storing an object content into a file. So serialization is a process of saving an object in a file, and it is used to transmit over a network connection in the form of binary. Serialization is a mechanism of converting the state of an object into byte stream. State of an object into byte stream. That means what happens in serialization concept is it's very important to students. What most of the time they will be asking in interviews, what do you mean by serialization concept? So try to understand just 10 minutes. You can easily understood about this serialization topic. Just give me 10 minutes of time. That's it. Now what we'll be doing is we'll be taking an object. And this object contains what variables? Inter a comma b semicolon. This is one object, and void space m1 method, opening brace and closing brace. This object contains this properties. Let us assume we have an object called D, and this object contains this properties. This object contains this things. Now I would like to take this object information, this complete object information. I would like to take this complete object information, and this complete object information I would like to store in a file. So I'm not going to store this object content in a file. This is file, let us assume demo.txt or demo.scr. And I'm not interested to store this object content as it is. Just like how we are storing textual data, like that I'm not interested to store in that way. Now, in what way I would like to store this data into a file means, I would like to store this complete AB and then M1 methods in the form of bytes. In the form of what? Bytes or byte string. In the form of byte string or in the form of binary. Okay, like that, I would like to store the base object information in the form of file. And the process of converting them, you can see, serialization is a mechanism of converting the state of an object into byte string. Converting the state of an object into byte string. Now we have taken one Java class and we created an object for that Java class. We created an object for that Java class. Now we'll be going with one simple Java program over here. We'll be going with one simple Java program over here. So this is one Java program. Okay, this is one Java program. Now what we'll be doing is we'll be taking this complete object into this Java program. Now this Java program is going to send the data to a file in the form of bytes. Sends data to file in the form of bytes. In the form of bytes. Sends the data in the form of what? Bytes. Sends the data in the form of bytes or okay, this process can be called as serialization. This process can be called as what? Serialization. Serialization. We are not sending textual data, textual format of object. What we'll be doing is we'll be sending binary format or byte format of this object into a file. Now similarly, what happens is we'll be getting data into another Java program or in the same Java program. That means we are getting byte streams. Getting byte streams into Java program. In the form of textual data. We are not going to do any conversion. We'll be having some functions and those functions are going to do conversions over there. So getting the data in the form of textual data. This process can be called as deserialization. This process can be called as what? Deserialization. This process can be called as what? Deserialization. Sending the object from Java program to a file in the form of bytes can be called as what? Serialization. We are not in a position to understand that data, students. When we are sending the data in the form of bytes to a file, and if you open that particular file, we are not in a position to see the content of the particular file also. But when you are taking the data from file to Java program, and we are taking bytes format of data, and in between we are converting the bytes format of data into textual data, and your Java program will get that data in the form of object. For example, we'll be taking this object A contains some value 10, B contains some value 20, and there exists some method called A, and this information will be sending it to Java program, and this Java program is going to send the data into a into a file, and in this file we stored it in 2 lines. Now what happens is we'll be taking this particular two lines, and when it was reaching to Java program, it is going to be reached in the form of object only. It's not going to be reached in the form of bytes. It's going to be reached in the form of what? Object. When we are going to take the 2 lines of data from file to Java program, and it is going to be reached in the form of objects. That means in the form of textual information only. How we send this object in the form of bytes to the file, and the same way we are getting the data in the form of bytes, and in between one function is going to convert the data in the form of object. The data in the form of what? Object. Clear with this? Have you understood? Serialization in the sense process of sending the data, sending an object to a file in the form of byte strings. Deserialization in the sense getting an object from file to what? Java program. File to what? Java program. Is it clear? Concept, base concept.
Yes.
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Fine. So that's what this slide is going to speak about here. Object will be converting in the form of byte string, and this byte string is going to be stored in a file or memory or in any database. Again, what happens from this file will be taking byte string, and that byte string is going to be converted in the form of object. In between, we'll be writing a Java program over here. In between, we'll be writing a Java program over here. The object we are taking, and this object we are converting in the form of byte, we are sending it to file. And here from file, we'll be taking byte stream, and that byte stream is going to be converted in the form of what? Object. This is what serialization, this is what deserialization. That means serialization is a mechanism of converting the state of an object into a byte stream and storing that into a file or memory or in database. And deserialization is a process of converting your byte stream in the form of what? Object. In the form of what? Object. Taking the byte stream from the file and converting that in the form of what? In the form of what? Object. Clear? Serialization, deserialization.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
No. So you can see here, deserialization is the reverse process where byte stream is used to recreate an actual Java object. This mechanism is used to persist the object. Persist the object means sending an object and getting back the object from the file. Even though it was converted in the form of byte streams, the file, we are getting an object as a form of object from the file. And the byte streams is created platform independent so that objects serialized on one platform can be deserialized on different platforms. That means here I serialized one file. I'm sharing this file over the network. And if someone hacked that thing also, they are not in a position to convert it because they don't know what kind of object I used. Suppose I take an employee object, I deserialize that employee's objects into in a file, and that file I'm sending it to what some other students or some other developer, and the developer is going to take that file and the developer is going to deserialize it with the help of employee object, whatever the properties that I have that are there in the employee object, and as according to that type only the object is going to be converted. Okay, suppose I'm sending a file, a deserialization file which was belongs to employee object, and someone had taken that file and they want to convert it. They want to deserialize it in order to get that object information. If they want to deserialize it means they want to know what variables that are taken in the class, what's the class that I use, what's the name of the class I used, that complete details I have to know. Without that, they are not in a position to deserialize that particular object. Okay, అంటే నేను నెట్వర్క్ లో ఒక ఆబ్జెక్ట్ ఇన్ఫర్మేషన్ పంపించాలి అని అంటే ఆబ్జెక్ట్ ని డైరెక్ట్ గా పంపివ్వను. నేను ఏం చేస్తానంటే నెట్వర్క్ అంటే ఎనీథింగ్ might be what mail or it might be any way, any communication channel. I would like to send the data. I would like to send some object information. Now what I'm going to do is I'm not sending program, I'm not going to send objects. I'm going to store this object in one file, and that object has been serialized. That file I'm sending over the network. And the destination person is going to take that particular file, and what he's going to convert is going to deserialize it, because I know which object I serialized and that person know which object has been serialized. Now they will be deserializing that particular object and they will be knowing the values of the object which was sent by me. Okay, this is where the actual serialization concept is going to be used over the network. And the process of serializing an object is called defaulting and then marshalling, or the process of deserializing an object is called unmarshalling. Okay, so in planning like that, what other names are there? And if you got these questions in 2 marks, 3 marks, try to remember that. What do you mean by marshalling? Means serialization, unmarshalling, what? Deserialization. Okay, so what are all things? This is implementation part. Leave about that. Then let's see. In order to make an object as serializable, what we need to use something called as object output stream class, and this class contains write object method for serializing an object. That means this write object is going to take an object and it converts that object in the form of byte string. It converts that object in the form of what? Byte string. Similarly, we have object input stream, and this contains one method called read object. And this read object, what it does is it takes the object from the, or it takes the bytes from the file and it converts the bytes in the form of what? Objects. That is what deserialization. That means serialization can be done with the help of write object, and deserialization can be done with the help of what? Read object. And this is from object input stream, and that is what? Object output stream. Okay, so these are the two methods. Try to remember. ekkada chusna okate blind assumption entante input stream output stream. Files lo elte input stream dwara data ni read cheyochu ante fis.read. Output file output stream dwara write cheyochu fis.write. That's it. Okay, so this is what clear with this, everyone? At least the base concept programming we are not discussing now. Clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, make a note of this, students. take okay, take this point is enough. Already we are giving it in notes. Take this point followed by this diagram. Sahil, are you there? Okay. And yesterday, it's somewhat interesting thing was happened. $16 is there, yeah. Okay. 25, 26, 27, no. See, 25, 26, 27. 27, unmute yourself.
Yes, sir.
25, who's 25, ma? 25, 26, ఎవరో తెలుసా?
25 Sushma, sir.
Okay. 25, 26. Two students were absent. And you also absent for first hour, right? Srija, you were absent for first hour, right?
Yes, sir.
Second hour attend అయ్యారా?
Attend అయ్యాను, sir.
అదే attend అయ్యారు. అదే sequence 25, 26, 27, 28 were continuously absent. Who is 28? Today also absent. 42. Today also absent. 45. Gaurina, the yesterday absent. Why? Gaurina. 37. 37. Completed writing this.
Yes, sir.
Can you paint license diagram ఒకసారి పెట్టండి.
Nana? Screen లో వేసిన diagram
Paint లో
Okay. 513 is there. 513. ఏమైంది గౌరీనాథ్ నువ్వు
సార్
రాలేదు క్లాస్ కి
నిన్న బయటి హాస్పిటల్ పోయి ఉంటే సార్ టెస్ట్ కోసం.
ఏం టెస్ట్?
కోవిడ్
యాంటీజెన్ ర్యాపిడ్ ఆర్టీపీసీఆర్?
ర్యాపిడ్ సార్.
ఓకే, ఏమైంది మరి?
ఏం లేదు సార్, నెగిటివ్.
వెరీ గుడ్, వెరీ గుడ్. ఓకే, ఫైన్, టేక్ కేర్.
ఓకే సార్.
సో కొంచెం స్ట్రాంగ్ గా ఉండండి రా. వాట్ స్ప్రెడింగ్ లైక్ ఎనీథింగ్. ఓకే
సార్,
శ్రీకర్ చెప్తున్నాను.
ఆబ్జెక్ట్ ని బైట్ స్ట్రీమ్ కింద కన్వర్ట్ చేసి ఫైల్ కి ఇచ్చే కన్నా డైరెక్ట్ డాట్ క్లాస్ ఫైల్ ఇచ్చేస్తే అయిపోతుంది కదా సార్?
డాట్ క్లాస్ ఫైల్ తీసుకోండి. డాట్ క్లాస్ ఫైల్ ని అంటే ఎవరికి ఇస్తా అంటున్నావు? సోర్స్ అనుకుంటున్నా?
ఫైల్ కి సార్.
ఫైల్ కి డాట్ క్లాస్ ఫైల్ ని ఇస్తావు?
ఎస్ సార్.
ఓకే, ఐ డిడెంట్ థాట్, ఐ థింక్ ఆ డైరెక్షన్ లో ఎప్పుడు థింక్ చేయలేదు నాన్న. విల్ సీ దట్ వెదర్ ఇట్ ఈస్ పాసిబుల్ టు గివ్ dot class file to what thing. Well, you can do one thing, Srikar. What you do is you open dot class file in read mode. That is by using file input string. Do you have any doubts in files? First of all, clear me that point.
క్లియర్ సార్, ప్రాక్టీస్ చేస్తే డౌట్స్ అన్ని క్లియర్.
చేస్తే అంటున్నావు అంటే చేయట్లేదు అంతే కదా. See, from beginning of the time I'm saying that you need to practice the programs, then only you will be able to do it. I know. I'm not saying to all this few students might not have the resources. I do understand. I also came from that what the stage itself. But there is no option, students. I'm being very bad because saying programming language like this means it's very bad. But let's see. Okay. Srikar, ఏం చేస్తాం అంటే ఫైల్ ఇన్పుట్ స్ట్రీమ్ తో డాట్ క్లాస్ ఫైల్ ఓపెన్ చేయి,
ఓకే సార్.
రీడ్ చేయి, అవుట్పుట్స్ ప్రింట్ చేయి, డేటా ఎలా వస్తుందో చూడు.
ఓకే సార్.
ఎందుకంటే అది కూడా బైట్స్ ఫార్మాట్ లోనే ఉంటుంది. ఎందుకంటే డాట్ క్లాస్ ఫైల్ is contains a byte code, right?
Yes, sir.
We can read the data in the form of bytes and we can convert that in the form of characters and we'll be printing that data on the screen. Let's see what kind of thing you'll be getting. If that is not going to be happened, your dot class file doesn't contains any objects information, Srikar. Actually, your dot class file contains the code, but here I'm talking about objects. Objects in the sense, suppose I have a student object, two students objects are there, and those two students objects are, let us assume that criminals, and I would like to send this data, and this information should not be relieved anywhere. Now what I'm doing is I'm taking those two students objects into a file, and that file I'm sharing. If I share that particular file, everyone knows that. Now the data in that particular file I'm encoding in the form of what byte, and when I'm sending it to other party, and that party has to know the class, what kind of class we'll be using, and that will be. Here we are not sending the code as we are sending the objects. That's the reason we need to go with serialization concept.
Okay, sir.
Right? We are not sending code. We are sending the data. Two students information then పంపివ్వాలి network ద్వారా. పంపివ్వాలి అని అంటే if you want to make it as more privacy, then you can decode that, encode it. That's it.
Okay, sir.
Fine. Have you completed that diagram?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Take this point.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Next number. Completed. We need to go with one more topic, students. Mostly tomorrow we'll be going with third unit. Completed.
Yes, sir.
Take this thing, this point and this point.
कचरे वाले आए मेवा है
540, you want to say something? Five 40. Completed?
No, sir.
Only 2 points. I've taken permission from Maninder sir, 10 minutes time, and he will be giving 10 minutes time for us. So what and he sir will not extend the class because his syllabus is already completed. He won't extend the class. By 12:30, your class is going to be concluded. No problem. Completed. Response students completed. Respond.
Yes, sir.
At Enum, just like what how we have in C, like that only we have, but few things are there. I will discuss it tomorrow. Now let's enter into the concept called boxing, auto boxing and auto unboxing. Just remember that auto boxing means converting a primitive, that means your int a into integer object. A in what are integer object? Converting your primitive value into an object of the corresponding wrapper class is called auto boxing. For example, converting your int to integer class or integer object. That is what wrapper class. That is what auto boxing. The Java compiler applies auto boxing when primitive value is passed as a parameter to a method, except as an object of corresponding to a wrapper class, assigned to a variable of the corresponding wrapper class. So simply, auto boxing is going to be applied when a primitive value is passed as a parameter to a method that expects an object. Suppose ఏదైనా ఒక మెథడ్ ఉంది, ఆ మెథడ్ కి ఇంటీజర్ ఆబ్జెక్టే ఇవ్వాలి. We are not in a position to give integer value. If you are giving integer value, it doesn't take. We need to give integer object. Then in that case, what we need to do is we need to convert our integer value in the form of object. In the form of what? Object. And how to convert that integer value, upload value in the form of object. So in Java, we have a concept called wrapper classes. We have a concept called what? Wrapper classes. With the help of that wrapper classes, we are going to convert our primitives in the form of what? Objects. Primitives in the form of what? Objects. One simple program you can see over here. See what is going to be happen here is boxing example. Now I'm taking one primitive over here, int space a, and this primitive, what I'm trying to do is this primitive I would like to convert in the form of what? Object. So here a is a variable, and this variable I'm going to convert in the form of what? Object. In the form of what? Object. That means a I'm giving it to what? Integer class, integer object as a parameter. Now this a2 is going to hold that value. This a2 is going to hold that 50. And here what we'll be doing is a3. We are taking some integer object, one more object, that is a3. And this a3 also we are assigning to what? We are a3 also, this 5 we are assigning to what? A3. Suppose if I take int a, then we are not in a position to apply the properties what we have in integer. Suppose this integer contains some set of properties. Let us enter into this what Java API. Let us enter into this Java API. Java API. In this Java API, let us enter into integer class. All these wrapper classes are there in java.lang package. All these wrapper classes are there in java.lang package. This is java.lang package. In java.lang package, you will find associated wrapper class students. Associated wrapper class means see associated wrapper class means for Boolean, we have wrapper class as Boolean. For byte, we have a wrapper class called byte. And for char, we have a wrapper class called character. For float, we have a wrapper class called what? A float. For int, we have a wrapper class called integer. For long, we have a wrapper class called long. For short, we have a wrapper class called short, S capital. For double, we have wrapper class called what? Double. For everything and for every primitive that we have in Java, associated wrapper class is there. Now let's enter into this integer wrapper class. Let's enter into this integer wrapper class here. This is integer wrapper class, and this integer wrapper class contains some fields over there: max value, min value, and methods also. It contains like a bit count of integer, byte value, like different things compared to, okay, and get integer of right? And then what parseInt also will be there here. Integer dot parseInt will be using that parseInt. Like different methods are there, and returns the value by reversing the order of bits in whose complement of this. Like if you want to perform some manipulations on integers, some manipulations on what are integers, then we can make use of this what the methods. We can make use of this methods. For example, let's go with any one thing here. Returns the double value of this integer as a double. Equals object, compares this object to the specified object, and returns the float value of this integer as a float. Determines the integer value. This system proposed, like different things are there. Now one simple example that we are taken here is, and how to convert it. First of all, we are taken one primitive, and that primitive you want to convert in the form of integer means we'll be going to take that as constructor, that is integer of a as a parameter for the time of creating an object. So one parameterized constructor is going to be executed, integer of a. That means a means what? 50, and this what 50 is going to be converted in the form of object, that is a2. And directly we are assigning that also will be created. This is how we are creating an objects. Now along with this, I'm going to print a also. Let's save this program. So here it is warning, no problem. Depreciation method we are using. Integer has been depreciated and marked as for removal. That's the reason it's generating an error. So no problem. Warning is there. It's not error. So you can compile it. .class file will be generated. You can run this program, no problem. And I will be explaining you what do you mean by depreciated methods in Java, or else someone can take an initiation and give some clarity about depreciation method in tomorrow's class. So 55 and then 50. Okay. So this is what we are converting. Now, what we'll be doing is we'll be calling any one function over there, any one function on this A2 dot. Let's go to Java API. Any one function we'll be calling here, double value. Double value of A2. So 50.0. Actually, this is 50, and that 50 will be converting in the form of double 50.0. Suppose if you are going to take the same thing, if you are going to apply on primitive, like a dot double value, we are not in a position to apply that. It's not an object, it's a variable. It's a variable that takes 4 bytes. That's it. It generates an error. Int cannot be dereferenced. It cannot be used to call any method. It generates what? Error. Okay. So this is what autoboxing. This is what autoboxing. Now auto unboxing in the sense what? Can you guess it? What do you mean by auto unboxing? Converting object in the form of what? Primitive. Converting object in the form of what? Primitive can be considered as what? Auto unboxing, right? So let's go with the unboxing. Very simple. This is I'm taking one integer object. That integer object directly I'm initializing it to what? Print. So we are going to print that particular value. Anything, అంటే ఇప్పుడు మీరు ఓన్లీ ఇంటీజర్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్ చెప్పాను ఇక్కడ. You can take anything over here. You can take float, double, character, boolean, any example you can take, and you can convert object to primitive to object. That's it. Clear with this, everyone? Boxing and auto boxing, the concept.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So ఇది కొంచెం పెద్దగా అనేసి చెప్తారు, but if this examples, if you are remembering and if you are able to understand this concept, then that is enough. Much is not there over here. Here also you'll be getting warning. Where the name I taken inside this is unboxing example. Okay, fine. Clear? We got 50 over here. So this is what the thing. So for every associated class, you will be having what like this boolean, char, byte, char, float, integer. Okay. So generics we'll discuss in third unit, no problem. Only the left out thing in this thing is going to be the program of serialization followed by enum. So programs I will discuss after in between somewhere in unit 3 I will be compensate this programs of serialization, and apart from that everything I discussed, and from your request is that we need to you need to have some clarity on this files and then random access files, and someone said console input output. Okay, so this I will discuss in between of your third unit. Okay, so don't worry about this, and meanwhile what you do is after completion of your mid examinations, start practicing your Java programs. Otherwise it's very difficult for you to remember the things. Okay, clear with this? Boxing and auto boxing, students respond.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine. So much is there about this Vapor classes, but they explained about auto boxing and all. They need only boxing and auto boxing. That's what I closed over there. But Vapor classes, if you discuss in depth, many things are there to discuss, many functions are there. So we'll see that later. So this is what unit 2 maximum we are done. Only enumeration is there. That we'll discuss in tomorrow's class, and then we'll start unit 3. Okay. Any doubts if you have, you can ask, otherwise you can leave fast.
Sir,
Yeah, go ahead, Srika. Fast.
in general ఏదైనా ఒక ఆబ్జెక్ట్ ప్రింట్ చేయాలంటే, అంటే మనం యూజర్ డిఫైన్డ్ ఆబ్జెక్ట్ ప్రింట్ చేయాలంటే అది ఎర్రర్ ఇస్తుంది కదా సార్ జావా కంపైలర్.
యూజర్ డిఫైన్డ్ ఆబ్జెక్ట్ ని ప్రింట్ చేస్తావా?
అంటే మనమే క్లాస్ రాసుకుని దానికి ఆబ్జెక్ట్ క్రియేట్ చేసి ప్రింట్ చేయాలంటే ఎర్రర్ ఇస్తుంది కదా సార్ కంపైలర్.
అంటే ఇప్పుడు డెమో అన్న క్లాస్ క్రియేట్ చేసావు, డెమోకి ఒక ఆబ్జెక్ట్ క్రియేట్ చేసావు, డెమో డి ఈజ్ ఈక్వల్ టు న్యూ డెమో అన్నావు, అండ్ దెన్ సిస్టమ్ డాట్ అవుట్ డాట్ ప్రింట్ఎల్ఎన్ ఆఫ్ డి అంటావా?
ఎగ్జాక్ట్లీ సార్, అదే సార్.
అప్పుడు హ్యాష్ కోడ్ వస్తుంది, ఎర్రర్ రాదు.
కానీ మనము ఈ స్ట్రింగ్స్ ఇంటిజర్ వీటికి వచ్చేసరికి మనకి వాల్యూనే చూపిస్తుంది కదా.
ఇక్కడ ఏం జరుగుతుందంటే ఆబ్జెక్ట్ ఇస్ అ సూపర్ క్లాస్ ఆఫ్ ఆల్ క్లాసెస్ శ్రీకర్. సో మనము డెమో డి ఈజ్ ఈక్వల్ టు న్యూ డెమో సిస్టమ్ డాట్ అవుట్ డాట్ ప్రింట్ఎల్ఎన్ డి అంటే ఇంటర్నల్ గా టూ స్ట్రింగ్ మెథడ్ కాల్ అవుతుంది అనమాట. టూ స్ట్రింగ్ నువ్వేం చేస్తావు అంటే ఈరోజు ఒక ప్రోగ్రామ్ తీసుకొని ఒక ఆబ్జెక్ట్ క్రియేట్ చేసి డి డాట్ టూ స్ట్రింగ్ అను డి అని చెప్పి ప్రింట్ చేయి. రెండిటికి సేమ్ అవుట్పుట్ వస్తుంది, సేమ్ వాట్ కంటెంట్ వస్తుంది. ఈ ఆబ్జెక్ట్ అన్న సూపర్ క్లాస్ లో టూ స్ట్రింగ్ అన్న మెథడ్ ఉంటుంది. ఆ టూ స్ట్రింగ్ మెథడ్ ఏం చేస్తుందంటే హ్యాష్ కోడ్ రిప్రజెంటేషన్ ఇస్తుంది అనమాట. హ్యాష్ కోడ్ రిప్రజెంటేషన్ ఇస్తుంది. ఆ టూ స్ట్రింగ్ మెథడ్ కాల్ అవుతుంది ఇంటర్నల్ గా. ఇప్పుడు డెమో మీరు ఏ క్లాస్ ఎక్స్టెండ్ చేయలేదు అనుకోండి, కంపైలర్ ఏం చేస్తుంది, డెమో ఎక్స్టెన్స్ వాట్ ఇట్ సేస్ ఆబ్జెక్ట్ java.lang.object అంటే
Yes, sir.
ఆబ్జెక్ట్ లో ఉన్న మెథడ్స్ అన్ని డెమోలోకి వస్తాయనే కదా అర్థం.
ఎస్ సార్.
సో ఇప్పుడు నువ్వు డెమో యూజ్ చేసి ఆబ్జెక్ట్ లో ఉన్న మెథడ్ ని కూడా కాల్ చేయొచ్చు కదా. సో ఇప్పుడు నువ్వు డి అన్నా కానీ ఇంటర్నల్ గా డి డాట్ టూ స్ట్రింగ్ అనే కన్సిడర్ చేస్తుంది. టూ స్ట్రింగ్ ఏం చేస్తుందంటే స్మాల్ టీ ఓ అండ్ ఎస్ షుడ్ బి క్యాపిటల్. ఇట్ యూసెస్ హెక్సాడెసిమల్ రిప్రజెంటేషన్ ఆఫ్ ఆబ్జెక్ట్. అంటే ఆబ్జెక్ట్ యొక్క అడ్రస్ ప్రింట్ అవుతుంది. దట్స్ ఇట్.
ఓకే సార్.
ఎర్రర్ రాదు. మీరు ఆబ్జెక్ట్ నేమ్ ప్రింట్ చేస్తే ఎర్రర్ రాదు, రిఫరెన్స్ నేమ్ ప్రింట్ చేస్తే ఎర్రర్ రాదు.
ఓకే సార్.
ట్రై చేశారా మీరు? ఎర్రర్ వచ్చిందా మీకు?
ఎర్రర్ రాలేదు సార్. అంటే మనం వాటికి ఎప్పుడు ఇలా ట్రై చేయలేదు, బట్ ఇప్పుడు ఇంటిజర్ క్లాస్ కి ఆబ్జెక్ట్ క్రియేట్ చేసి
ఇప్పుడు ఇక్కడ ఏమవుతుందంటే ఇంటిజర్ క్లాస్ లో మీరు వాల్యూని ప్రింట్ డైరెక్ట్ ఆబ్జెక్ట్ ని ప్రింట్ చేసినప్పుడు ఇంటిజర్ క్లాస్ లో టూ స్ట్రింగ్ మెథడ్ ఓవర్ రైడ్ అవుతుంది అనమాట. అంటే ఆబ్జెక్ట్ లో ఉన్న టూ స్ట్రింగ్ మెథడ్ ఇంటిజర్ లో కూడా వస్తుంది కదా. ఆ టూ స్ట్రింగ్ మెథడ్ ని ఇంటిజర్ క్లాస్ లో ఓవర్ రైడ్ చేస్తారు. ఎలా ఓవర్ రైడ్ చేస్తారంటే, నేను ఆ వేరియబుల్ ని ప్రింట్ చేసినప్పుడు యు ఆర్ నాట్ సపోజ్ టు ప్రింట్ హెక్సాడెసిమల్ వాల్యూ, వాట్స్ ద వాల్యూ దట్ వీ హ్యావ్ ఇన్ దట్ ఆబ్జెక్ట్, దట్ వాల్యూ వీ నీడ్ టు ప్రింట్ అని చెప్పేసి ఇస్తారనమాట. దట్స్ ఇట్.
ఓకే సార్.
టూ స్ట్రింగ్ మెథడ్ ని ఓవర్ రైడ్ చేస్తే, నువ్వు ఇందులో కూడా డెమో క్లాస్ లో కూడా టూ స్ట్రింగ్ మెథడ్ ని ఓవర్ రైడ్ చేసి నీ పేరుని ప్రింట్ చేసుకో. నా ఆబ్జెక్ట్ ప్రింట్ చేసినప్పుడు నేనేం వచ్చేస్తాను.
ఓకే సార్, ట్రై చేస్తాను.
ట్రై చేయండి ఒకసారి. హౌ నువ్వు గ్రీక్ ఫర్ గ్రీక్ లో కొట్టు హౌ టు ఓవర్ రైడ్ టూ స్ట్రింగ్ మెథడ్ అని చెప్పి వచ్చేస్తాను. యూ విల్ అండర్స్టాండ్ ఇట్. Any doubts? 55, 29. Okay, I'm going to click on end.